Right. Okay. I'm just going to say it in the chat. Please rename yourself with your first name, city, and country. Lovely.
Could you please mute yourself? We have some sound coming through in the background. Thank you. Shalaka, we're ready.
Right. Okay, so.
Okay, well, welcome everybody. Yep, Shalaka.
Yes, so we are ready to start off the IAF Global Webinar for May 21. And we just got a glimpse of how things can spin out of control between me and Rhonda, with Rhonda struggling to join in, due to some technical issues. But that's life, and that's how we, kind of create excitement for ourselves. So just a quick update about how the global webinars, for today, we have planned the session for around 90 minutes, after which Rhonda has kindly agreed to stay on for another 15 minutes or so, in case anybody wants to have a chat with her, maybe ask her some questions, or even, have some kind of a discussion amongst yourself. So that's a platform and a space that we have kind of created. And going ahead from the next month, we are also planning to introduce a small ice-breaking cum networking opportunity before the webinar. So whoever plans to register for the next time, you will get communication around that. So with that little bit of update, let me introduce Rhonda to you quickly. Rhonda Sparks-Strangs, who's our facilitator today, has her own firm, Illuma Consulting, which is a fitting name to her illuminative career. If one could describe the nature of her career in 2 words, I would say rich diversity. She works as a facilitator, consultant, and an executive and team coach in areas of clarifying purpose and roles, strategic planning, building effective work relationships, managing change with resilience, and developing behavioral skills needed for success. She mentors and trains facilitators. She is certified in emotional intelligence and the Klein Group Instrument by the Center of Applications of Psychological Time. Her work spans across geographies of Australia, Asia, Mexico, USA, and Europe. She works with a broad spectrum of organizations, from large MNCs to small businesses, across industry sectors, as well as government departments and NGOs. Her work and achievements at the IAF are equally inspiring. She was the IAF Victoria Chapter Chair and has been the Regional Director for Oceania. She has presented at 14 international facilitator conferences. She is a CPF Master, a CPF Assessor, and the recipient of the IAF's Hall of Fame Award. She facilitates wherever dialogue and outcomes are needed, drawing upon and developing greater humanity at the workplace. Life has seen her foray into other businesses too, like a catering business in the New York City, a cultural and culinary tours business in Mexico. That's really interesting. And running a small luxury hotel. Wow. Her other passions are singing, cooking, and traveling. I'm sure many of us enjoy reading about Rhonda's warm and witty posts about her puggle, Charlie, her culinary creations, and her travel stories alike. Let us join her today in this journey of discovering how much we are or aren't in control of our facilitated sessions. Over to you, Rhonda.
Thank you so much, Shalaka. And how hilarious that we had a massive glitch before we were due to start. The very thing that prompted me to want to run this is, I suppose, confronting my own anxieties and realizing that I'm not the only person that gets themselves into a state of anxiety when things go wrong when we're facilitating. If you have experienced something distressing when you're facilitating and felt that you were losing control and you needed to get a grip, put your hand up and let's see that who else has ever found themselves in that situation. I think so. If you've never ever suffered from an anxious moment when you're facilitating, then you don't need to be here this evening and you can, or this morning, and you can go away and do something else. Yes, I could see Amy there having a bit of a giggle. So let me just say it's wonderful to see so many familiar faces today and some new faces. Please, I'll come to that later on. So because we're a little bit late in getting started, I thought I would launch straight into the actual session. There will be a breakout group and we've got 2 Mentimeters as well during the session. So I'm going to share my screen right now and I hope you can all see that. Okay? Yeah, look, Robbie Burns, the famous Scottish poet, and I'll read it out first with a thick Scottish accent, and then I'll read it in English. And he said, "The best laid schemes of mice and men gang off to gley, and lay us naught but grief and pain for promised joy." So in case you don't understand a Scottish accent, that is, the best laid plans of mice and men go often astray, and they leave us naught but grief and pain for promised joy. And the story about this little mouse is Robbie Burns was ploughing a field, 18th century, ploughing a field, and when he did, he ploughed up the nest of a field mouse, and the mouse ran away. And he started to think, that mouse, Lord only knows how much time he spent making that nest, his best laid plans, the little mouse or female mouse, and everything went to hell in a hay basket or pear-shaped or whatever we say. And that mouse might have thought he was in control, or she was in control of her life and her nest and whatever, but she wasn't. And one of the things I've realized is the more I try to think I've got to be in control, the less I'm able to manage or control what is around me. So today what we're going to be doing is examining the factors involved in facilitation, and it's complex. I mean, I run 4-day courses, 3-day courses, whatever, lots of master classes. They can't all fit into this 90-minute session, but we're going to look at some of the complexities and what's within your sphere of control and sphere of influence. We're going to look at some steps to manage interactions before and during the event to minimize problems. And you're getting a handout at the end with about 18 questions that you can ask during the scoping stage to help minimize the problems that you have. And you're going to take stock of your own emotional reactions and develop strategies to manage yourself. Well, we mightn't spend a lot of time on the strategies, but hopefully you'll go away and think about what else you can do. So when it unravels, I thought I'd start with a little story. I was asked to facilitate something, not a lot of notice, but I happened to be free. And I met the executive assistant of the director on Zoom. And the executive assistant told me as much as she could. And then I only got to have a 30-minute meeting with the actual client. And she promised to meet me the following week. So I put in a proposal, they accepted it, and what it said was we would do further scoping. I had to drive up to Canberra, our capital city, 8-hour drive, to do the job because it was actually face-to-face. And I drove up on the Sunday. The Saturday night was the first time I could get to speak with the client for more than half an hour. She had had surgery and something had gone terribly wrong and she was back in hospital. So here we go. Here's a few things going wrong with this one. I was supposed to do, they said 50 to 60 people on day 1 and 30 people day 2. Wednesday, they changed it. Day 1 was now changed with day 2. The executive assistant went off on 2 days leave, Thursday and Friday. I had no idea about anything at all. I tried to speak with 2 other clients and managed to get them on Teams for about 15 to 20 minutes. And it was apparent that there was some tension between the 2 of them. I rang the venue to ask what had been organised because they had trouble getting a venue. And I was told there was no morning tea, afternoon tea, or lunch organised. I looked at the weather and it said it was going to be pouring rain the 2 days I was going to run this. So people had to leave the building to get a cup of tea or coffee or whatever. I got there and it was a beautiful room, but it was a long, curved, narrow room. And when I was at one end, I couldn't see people set up at the other end. My requirements were for movable furniture. When I got there, it wasn't movable furniture. I'd planned to run the a Samoan Circle generative change activity on the main day, and I couldn't physically fit it in the room. So I felt like I needed to cry. Then the planes into Canberra got delayed, and the main 2 clients sent me a text to say their flights were delayed. So I was there before my clients. You're getting the picture of what happened with this? And on the second day, I was told there'd be a maximum of 60 and 78 people turned up. So just to let you know, how would you be feeling if you were me in this situation? You can put it in the chat, okay? I was freaking out. There I was on the first day with a change. The 2 clients, my 2 clients that had tension, the day 1 was to bring these 2 branches together and the 2 heads of the branches weren't there. I really just, panic, frustrated, alarmed, terrified. I will cry, says Eric. Yes, I tried not to cry. Eric, how are you, by the way? Frozen? Yeah. Oh my God, I need to take a breath. And that was really what was happening. And I started to think, well, I can't do anything about this right now. I'll just put people into tables and get them to do some sort of activity. But it really required, I was so well planned. I love process design. I'm so well organised. I had my sheet, I had everything there ready to go. Best laid plans, and they just went to hell in a hay basket. It ended up actually being quite successful, and I insisted we do the generative change Samoan Circle, but a lot of people were standing rather than sitting. If you've ever been involved in that, it's a very powerful activity, and I just knew I had to find a way to do it. So I did. So I'm going to share again. Okay. So what about when it unravels for you and your story? What about when you were thrown off balance or lost your grip or lost control? You know, the circle there is the beautiful design that we've made, and it just all starts to unravel. So what we're going to do now, I'm going to ask you to just go back into your own memories. You might want to close your eyes or whatever it is, or turn your camera off or whatever you need to do while you go back into your mind to a time when you were facilitating or training or running a meeting and everything just went nothing like you had planned. So take yourself back to that situation. Take yourself back to the room and see if you can remember what was happening. Who was there? How the room was set up? What people were saying? How was the furniture organized? What did you expect to happen? And what was actually happening? And I want you to right now write down somewhere the emotion you were feeling when it all started to unravel. What I've done, if you want to look at the screen, is we have 9 emotions. You might have been just nervous, or you might have been in complete and utter panic. You may have been angry, really mad. I don't know, somebody else, yourself or something. Maybe you were just sad. Maybe you were completely and utterly distraught. You know, when somebody said, I felt like crying. Did you feel maybe instead of that, maybe you felt you were actually going crazy? That moment of thinking, I think I've lost my mind right now. You might have been doing some eye rolling, a sense of exasperation. Oh no, here we go again. Shock and surprise might have been another emotion. Or it might have been so confronting for you that you lost all sense of emotions at all and you were feeling nothing. So Shalaka is going to open up. I'm going to stop sharing in just a minute. Oh, whoops, sorry. And move to breakout session 1. So when Shalaka opens up the breakout rooms, you're going to self-select. Now we have no idea, and we can't plan this. We don't know how many people there's going to be in each group. But please self-select your group based on your reaction to your case situation. You'll see there's 9 groups. Share the stories of what happened and your response. There will be no report back from this. There's no need to report back. This is you just making meaning and sharing your own stories. And there's 12 minutes, but I'll go back a slide again and just remind you there of the 9 emotional states. Room 1 is nervous. You can see that. Shalaka, they have been named, haven't they?
Yes, they have been named, Rhonda.
Yeah. Okay. So Shalaka is going to open up the breakout groups. Could somebody keep time once you find yourself in the room? Because we're going to bring you back in 12 minutes.
Sure. Shall I open the rooms now?
Yes, please, Shalaka.
All right, here it goes. The rooms are open now. Please choose and join the rooms.
I'll set the timer, Shalaka.
It's set already.
set?
So
Okay,
yeah.
good. Yeah.
Are you still the co-host? I had made you the co-host. Can you see the breakout rooms at the bottom?
Yep.
No.
Okay.
Oh, all right.
I think people are taking a little while to choose because we still have about 10 people who have not joined.
I know, and they're thoughtful people like Eric and Amy.
Yeah, Eric has just joined actually.
Oh, hello, this is Eric. Yeah, sorry, I'm located in Vietnam and I'm unsure about the time meeting. So
Yeah.
I tried to join half hour ago, but maybe I was too early or maybe I'm too late. So apologies for joining in.
We were a little bit late, Eric, because of a technical glitch of all things. We're going into breakout groups now based on your emotional reaction to something that went haywire when you were facilitating.
Okay.
Just choose the group based on the emotion that most bothers you.
I cannot see the breakout room either.
Jory, you can't see the breakout room?
Am I self-select?
Yeah,
Yeah,
you need to self-select.
How do I do that? From the facial expression?
Yeah, no, click on which one it is. Click on nervous or panic.
I'll just click on nervous, but how,
Yep.
where? How? Sorry.
Did you find it?
No.
Is there a tab called More at the bottom of your screen?
Or breakout rooms at the bottom?
I'm now in room with you and
Okay, shall I assign you to
Shirley
nervous?
and Eric and
Jory,
Yolanda.
shall I assign you to nervous?
Okay, send me
Okay.
there.
Okay.
Okay, Jory, lovely to see you.
Yes, you look great.
Oh, thank you.
Hi, good afternoon. Sorry, this is
Yeah.
Yolanda. I'm actually
Yeah.
calling in on a mobile phone, so I'm not actually able to see that. So I'm going to sign out and sign back in on a laptop. Probably not going to make this exercise, but I'm going to sign out and sign back in.
Okay, Yolanda.
Super, thank you.
And Shelley? Shelley,
Yeah,
are you there?
Yes, hi. I cannot find the button. Can you also assign me to the accelerated group?
Yes, just doing that.
Exasperated.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Kazu is the only one in shocked. Are you able to join him for a minute, Shalaka? And suggest he, yeah, and say, does he want to join another group?
I'll do that.
Okay. So where's he gone now? Oh, he's gone to exasperated. Okay. It's so nice to see so many people I know. Yeah. I can't hear you.
Sorry, I was mute.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
When does the Mentimeter come up? After how much time?
What do we, the Mentimeter is, it's at slide 11, doing your homework.
Okay.
Okay. And I've forgotten what the question is. I had it written down. Where is it?
Yeah, reflecting on your personal case study and the central quadrant of the holistic framework, what could have been better managed?
Yeah, okay. So it's, I don't know the timing because we started a bit late. So I'm going to,
no worries.
Yolanda, are you now able to join?
I'm going to try and do that. Don't mind me. Otherwise, just ignore me. I'm halfway through, they're 3/4 way through the exercise. So I think I'm just going to stay in the big group for the time being. Don't worry.
Okay. The big group
Thank
is
you.
us. So you're going to listen to Shalaka and
Don't worry.
myself.
Continue, do what you have to do. Don't
Yeah,
worry,
but you
I'm
can
here.
still, what was the emotion, by the way, Yolanda, that you felt?
So I actually couldn't figure out a big, let me turn on my camera. Where's my camera? I couldn't actually figure out, think of a specific exercise, but I can imagine, not that it's not happened before, it'd probably be frustration and anger a little bit, right? Just when everything's not working. So it's probably a combination of the two. So yeah.
Okay, yeah, okay. Sam, have you just joined us? Somebody's new just joined us.
Yeah, still connecting to audio.
Okay. And Shalaka, can you and I stay on afterwards so we can capture and review, obviously, all of the chat?
Yeah.
I'm enjoying reading the chat now, like the ground has vanished from under my feet. Okay.
Yolanda, would you like to rename yourself with your city and country?
Yeah, I'm gonna try and get there. I don't normally use Zoom, so give me a few minutes. I'm gonna get there. Let me figure it all out, and I'll talk to you guys in a while.
Okay.
So, cool. Thanks.
Sam Yang is unable to connect. We have another 3 minutes to go.
Okay.
A lot of people in nervous.
Oh, we're recording this. Hello, everybody listening to the recording. Now you're hearing all of our dramas at the last minute. Okay. Jory is here. A few from Malaysia. Mostly, as you said earlier on, they're mostly India and East Asia.
Yeah.
Where are you from, Yolanda? Hong Kong. Good. Okay.
I'm also trying to change my background view, and for some reason it's not letting me, so I'm trying to figure that one out.
Oh, Sam, okay, you finally joined. You're in Taipei.
Choose background. There you go.
Oh, we have somebody from Germany. We have Irene from Africa, Kenya.
Ah, okay. Zoha from Germany. Oh, Bileng is online. Yeah, good.
Ajit had joined now. I guess he's left.
Okay. No, Jimmy's here from Hong Kong as well. I haven't seen everybody. So, or I've seen people, but they haven't. Sam, you've joined us from Taiwan.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yes.
we can.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm late.
Yeah, that's all right. They've been in breakout groups talking about emotional reactions to things going pear-shaped.
Okay.
Okay, but they're coming back in just a minute now. So
Yeah,
then now just wait here.
Yeah. In 10 seconds, people will be back. Okay. We have people starting to join back. Are these the smaller groups that are coming back? Yeah, they must have finished discussing.
So, what time is it in Germany? I think it's probably about 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock in the morning. So here we go.
Everyone's back now.
Yeah, everybody's back. Look, I'm scanning up and down across the two screens. I've got it in gallery view at the moment. If you can put your camera on, that would be really great because I'd love to see everybody's face, if at all possible. Okay, I hope you found that interesting, sharing the emotional reactions and the stories that you had. You can add bits and pieces to the chat if you like, but because it's more personal and small groups, a large group we've got here, it's not appropriate for everybody to share at this stage because it's quite personal. It's not coming up with any decisions. So I'm going to share my screen again, and yeah, I'm going to ask now, what if, which is one of the best questions, what else and what if, are two of the most important questions that you could have up your sleeve as a facilitator. In fact, I call it ELSE, else and E for if, what else and what if. But what if you got a grip on yourself and you approach the situation instead of with the emotion that you're able to breathe, which is always very important, breathe, and then stop and think, what is really going on here? Approach it with a spirit of curiosity instead of that emotion that you felt. Instead of feeling, and Yolanda was online with us, you know, that sort of anger and frustration or exasperation or feeling distraught or panic, if you could take a breath and quickly ask yourself, what's going on here? And it's not just what's going on in the room, but it's that spirit of curiosity, the emotional awareness to say, what is going on with me at the moment? That body awareness, that sense that it's in your stomach or your knees trembling or your mind's gone blank, but get a grip on yourself physically and notice what's happening to you physically and asking yourself, where is this coming from within me? And taking a few moments or even a minute to do that inside your head is worth is a massive investment of the time, because quite frankly, you're not doing a very good job when you are in that bad emotional state. So one of the things I've always realized is I might need to mentally drop out of what's happening in the room to get a grip on myself first. It's an investment in my own time, and realizing, where is this fear coming from? Is it a sense that I'm going to lose my reputation? Or is it a sense that people will think I'm stupid? Or am I frightened of somebody in the room? You know, what's actually going on for me at the moment? And I ask myself, how is my reaction? Because at that point, I'm not responding. When you're in those emotional states, you are in a reactive mode. I'm not responding. So how is my reaction serving me at the moment? What am I missing in my own emotions, but what am I missing in what's happening in the room? What else could I do right now? That's a wonderful question. And how can I influence the situation? The moment I feel that I need to be in control is the very moment I realize I cannot be in control. What's happening in the room now is about other people's reactions and responses, and I can't control them. The only thing I can control is myself. And the best way to prevent this happening in the first place is to do my homework. I'll stop sharing for a minute and just quickly see if there's anything in the chat, or Shalaka needs to comment. Is there anything that people want to make a quick comment on right now?
I don't see any comments after they came back from the breakout room, Rhonda.
Okay, so are we right to keep going? Okay, this business of getting a grip on yourself, and that requires self-awareness, emotional intelligence, and that's not what we're on about today. But what we're on about is recognizing that something is happening within you that is making you ineffective as a facilitator. And the minute you recognize that your own emotional reaction, panic, you know, there's many a time I've thought, my God, I might just throw up in the room right now, but I'm supposed to be in charge, so I can't run out of the room and go and be sick. But I've often felt like I'm going to be sick right now. And that overwhelming nausea is a sense of I've lost control of the group. You know, it's a horrible feeling. And anybody that says that they're a skilled facilitator and has never experienced that sense of distress, I question what kind of facilitator you are. And the reason why I question it is how are you relating to the group, okay? If you've got empathy, if you've got emotions happening, if you're being authentic, if you've got an atmosphere going that people are trusting or whatever, and you've never experienced that sense of panic or distress when you're facilitating, then I question what you're actually doing. So I'm going to share.
Rhonda?
Yes.
Padma has his hand up. Padma, do you want to ask something?
Okay.
Yeah, if I may. If I may.
Yes. Padma?
Yes. So, Rhonda, very well said. I just wanted to share one thing that, you know, not giving that instant reaction to the emotion I feel is relatively easier for me than it is to handle the residual stuff that goes in. I may not show the reaction at that stage, but it doesn't mean that I have been successful in flipping or shifting to an empowering emotion. The anger kind of goes in and it is there inside, and it manifests itself in certain other ways, either, you know, in terms of not providing enough attention to that particular participant who created the anger, or showing certain kind of, you know, restlessness when it comes to those situations. It may not be an instant reaction, that part of it is easier to handle than the residual impact of that feeling. I just wanted to.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Padma, for that. Yes, the impact afterwards is much more difficult, particularly if you handle it in a way that creates more problem. Yeah. I'm going to move on to the next slide right now, which is about doing your homework. The more we do our homework before an event, the more skilled we are, the better we are able to scope and design a good facilitation, then the less we're likely to have those problems that we get in, that we have to deal with. And a little while ago, I realized it's been a long time since I've had a complex or difficult participant that I really felt that I couldn't manage the behavior of that individual. And I've wondered about this. Am I just getting easier groups? Am I just getting easier people? Or over the years, have I become better at sorting out what's happening, doing a better process design in the beginning, because I'm much better at doing my scoping and design than I was 15 years ago, for example. So the better we are at working out what's happening at the beginning, the better we are able to design something so that there's fewer problems happening in the moment. And one of the things, a colleague once said to me, oh, if somebody's difficult in the middle of the meeting, what you've got to do is just kill the monster, shut them up or kill them, metaphorically, kill them. And I'm sorry, but I just had a fit when I heard that, okay? Firstly, you're not the therapist. That's one of the things I always say. All you've got to do is manage that behavior for the 3 hours, 2 days, or whatever that you've got that person there. And the best way to manage that behavior is to let them be who they are. If they need to talk a lot, I give them something to do so they can talk a lot. If they don't want to speak up, I don't force them to speak up in a large group. So my philosophy always is to work with what I've got, not anger people, not push them, not press the button, unless, of course, I'm there to do a team development. But if it's a decision-making kind of thing, work with what you've got. That's one of my biggest pieces of advice to you. Don't try to change somebody in the middle of a facilitation, and don't squash them. Work with the best of who they are, and you'll have fewer problems. But let's go back and have a look at what time have we got. Oh boy, we better keep moving quickly now. This is my framework of facilitation. And in the handout that you're going to get, there's about 18 to 19 questions to help you in this scoping part. This thing here, here's the spine. You work out what are the outcomes, and you work out the purpose, people, and ideas that feed into getting this outcome. Essential is challenge and curiosity, and trust and safety. We're not looking at those today. That's sort of a masterclass or my course. But what we're looking at is what was going on with the culture within that group. If we go up to, what's going on here? Culture. What is going on? What's going on with the culture? What's going on with the process that you designed? Is it something, one of the tools you used? Is it the method that you came up with? Is that the problem? Or are you not managing behaviors particularly well? Is it the behaviors that you're not managing well? Or is it something going on in the structure of the group, the hierarchy of the group, the way that the event was physically organized. So what I'm going to do now is we're going to have a Mentimeter. There's a chat comment up there. We're going to have the oh gosh, I'm so sorry. What is going on? My mouse is so sensitive, speaking of a mouse. It's so sensitive that the minute it goes there, it jumps to the next slide. So we're going to have a Mentimeter right now. And Shalaka, if you could read out what the votes are for the Mentimeter and put it in the chat. Shalaka?
I've shared the link in the chat, and I can share my screen also if you can stop sharing.
Yep. Okay.
So, give me a moment. Let me start the presentation. Yeah. Right. Okay.
So in the chat, there's a link. Yeah, okay. So thanks for sharing, Shalaka. Reflecting on the personal case study that you came up with before, and the central quadrant of my holistic framework, what could have been better managed? So reflecting back, was it the structure, the culture, the process, behaviours, or was it yourself? So with your Mentimeter, if you're not familiar with it, you can follow the link on your phone or here. Irene's got, is it even possible to manage culture? Thank you, Irene. Okay, 26 have voted. Okay, we'll leave it open for 30 seconds more. But what we're seeing, as you can see the screen there, is a significant number of people in this group feel that they could have better managed themselves rather than managing the behaviour. And that's interesting. The behaviour might have been problematic, I'm gathering, but how we manage ourselves in response to that behaviour is the question. Process, I'm just going to very quickly comment on the one about can you even manage culture? So can we stop sharing the screen?
Yeah.
At the moment, thanks very much. Can we even manage culture? No, we can't manage the culture. We can't control it. We certainly can't manage it's not our job to manage the organisation or the meeting's culture. But it is our job to find out as much as possible about the culture before the event. And I'm now beginning to think, can we manage the culture? What are we creating when we start a facilitated event? We're creating a mini culture within that meeting. It might be related to the ground rules that we set up. And if you've ever done any facilitation training with me, you will know that I have a very different view on ground rules. Gerard would know than what many others tend to use. Trust and safety. Have you created, so in many ways, to the person who said, can you manage culture? You can't manage the organizational culture, but you can create a culture within that room. or within what we're doing here, where people feel safe and able to speak up. But the biggest thing is whether you can manage yourself through whatever happens. I'm going to share my screen again and start to focus on some of the questions that you can ask. So pre-event, one of the things I really believe is the more homework you do, the fewer problems you have in your facilitation. And one of the biggest problems I had with the case study that I presented with my own drama recently was I could not meet with the client to scope. It was very frustrating for me. Emails, I couldn't find out. She said, oh, it'll be fine, Rhonda. I really like your process design. The agenda's really great. It'll be fine. But I couldn't get a thorough scoping. So your homework is around the organization's understanding and attitude to facilitation. What do they think a facilitator is or does? That's a really good question to ask. I've been shocked myself when I've asked the client, what do you think my role is as a facilitator? And they thought my role was to be a moderator or an MC or a trainer. So I won't go through all of these, but if you have a look at, I think the sixth one down, your insight and analysis of the presenting issue or problem. It's hugely important. If you don't do a proper diagnosis, analysis, and insight into what's happening, how on earth could you do an appropriate process design to address the problem? Is there senior line and line manager support for what you're doing? How does the invitation go out? Do you have any control or management over that invitation? One of the things I always ask my clients is, can I draft an email that you send out on my behalf or I send out as the invitation with the agenda, so that they get to see me and a link? Here's me, you get to know a little bit more about me. Feel free to contact me beforehand if you've got any clarifications or concerns. That's been very revealing as to what comes up there. All of these things are important. And at this point, Shalaka, if you could just pop in the chat, the link, the document.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
The handouts, Rhonda?
Yeah, the handout, the first handout.
Oh.
How are we going for time? Okay. So Shalaka is going to share a handout with you. Please don't stop and read it all now, but if you get the opportunity, you'll see there's about 17 or 18 questions that you can ask beforehand. And I suppose the key point of what I'm trying to say here is get a grip. Are you really in control? You're never really in control of anything except yourself, quite frankly. You're never in control of anything, but you can manage and influence it. And I'm going to move to the next slide. Can you see that, everybody? Yep.
No. The slide, Rhonda? No, we can't see.
I haven't shared the slide. Okay, I'll do it in a minute. Okay, thanks, Shalaka. I'm going to quickly rearrange the slides in the order that they're coming in and share, because we've started a little bit late. So I will now share my screen. Can you see that now? Everybody?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Now, I'm sure most of you would be familiar with Stephen Covey's circle of concern, circle of influence, circle of control. I've put it up here as a bit of a reminder for everybody because, I know this stuff myself. And yet I still tend to get my knickers in a knot. I get myself quite distraught about the things that I'm concerned about, but I have absolutely no control or influence about. So during that event that I talked to you about, I had no control over the room and the way the furniture was organised. In fact, I couldn't even influence them to change it because there were massive banquet tables squashed in around this space. But I got myself became overly concerned about something I could do nothing about. So what I decided I had to do was just manage with what I had. So all the planning I'd done beforehand didn't work. I had to manage what I had. This concept of what we can control, I think is very important. And one of the things I realize over time is I have much less control than I ever thought I did. Psychologists talk about whether we have an internal locus of control or an external locus of control. Are people familiar with that? Yeah, I'll just remind you, if you have an external locus of control, there is a sense within you that things are subject to fate. Everything happens outside your own control, your external locus of control. People with an internal locus of control tend to believe that they have much more control over their own lives and what can happen with them. In my experience, well, I don't know. What do you think? Do you have an internal or an external locus of control? And does it get in the way or does it help you? I've actually found, I thought I had an internal locus of control. And as I've gotten older, I've realized that actually much more is outside my locus of control.
So Madhurjit says a bit of both. And
Yes.
Andrea also agrees. She says it's a mix.
Yes.
We haven't heard from anybody else.
Yeah.
Any quick responses, people? Do type in the chat or quickly say it aloud.
Type them
Bhanu
in the
says
chat.
she has an internal, Amar has an internal locus of control. Very bit of both.
And my comment is, as a facilitator, you're trying to get a balance between the external and internal, okay, is what you're aiming for. Because you design an appropriate facilitation process and you do a beautiful outcomes-focused agenda and you get the client to sign off on it. And then you turn up on the day and then during the event, the shark comes out of the water. I don't know if you know the story of this. It's one of the great surfing stories of all time. It was off the coast of South Africa. It was one of an international surfing championship. And as you can see there, I think his surfboard got bitten and a little bit of them got bitten. But you know, one of the things I've thought about in relation to this is I use a model of resilience. A guy called Bob Dick in Australia has a model of resilience. And one of the elements of his model of resilience is, did you see it coming? Foresight. Well, quite frankly, if you're going to hold a surfing championship off that beach in South Africa at that time of year, there are going to be sharks in the water. So a lot of the problems that we face, did you see it coming? Quite frankly, my drive up to Canberra, I did see it coming because I hadn't been able to speak to the woman. Right? I did see it coming. Here's another one. We plan for and expect this. Isn't it lovely? You know, look at all those smiling faces. We can see everybody's faces. We're running a virtual event on Zoom or Teams or something. And when we turn up, this is what we actually see. Okay. the woman at the front. There's only one person paying attention. Have you experienced that? Just very quickly. Yeah, okay. That's why I asked you to put your cameras on today. So thank you very much for those who have done it. And that's something I can ask people to put their camera on, but I can't control. And I can't control when bandwidth issues happen to them. So what have we been looking at? We've been looking at
Irene has raised her hand. I'm just wondering if she has a question.
Yes, Irene.
Actually, it's more of a comment about, I'm one of those people who don't like having my video on because number one, of bandwidth, and number two, I like it being a point of discussion sometimes. But I think it doesn't mean that people are not paying attention if their videos are not on. There's always a reason. Some of us are introverts, some of us are extroverts, some of us are so different. So I think we need to have an open mind about the videos. So I just needed to comment about that. And I put off my video again.
Yeah, thank you very much, Irene. And Yolanda?
She's, I think, probably agreeing to what Irene is saying.
Oh, she's agreeing.
Thumbs
okay.
Up.
Yeah, look, this is very, very interesting, Irene, this issue of cameras. When we're facilitating in person, we can see people's faces. So this isn't a webinar on developing trust and safety or how to get the most out of your virtual meetings or whatever. That's not what we're on about here. But I personally find it extremely, I'm presenting today, but trying to do it in a facilitative way. But when I'm facilitating, it's almost impossible to properly facilitate if I'm not seeing what's happening with people in the group. Sorry, is that somebody sent something? No. So it's okay to present to a pile of black boxes, but Irene, I can't see your face. So when I'm facilitating, I need that feedback. I can't control it, but I do need that feedback in order to facilitate effectively, to see what the emotional reactions of what's happening, if it's a group of 10 or 15 that I've got on screen, who's speaking, and suddenly noticing, see right now I can see Kazu nodding. So I'm able to pick up that Kazu's nodding and Jory's nodding right now. So I can pick up that. But if I can see somebody else's face that looks puzzled, so Mehek in Mumbai, she's wondering about it a little bit more. Amy, the two Amy's are next to each other here, but Pat's kind of like staring into the screen. So what I might be able to do is pick up what's happening and genuinely facilitate. And so I can't control. All I can do is influence and ask. And as we move more and more to a hybrid or to virtual facilitation, I give people reasons, Irene, as to why I want the camera on. Okay, I understand bandwidth, but and it can drop out. I understand that, but if people understand that I need to react with them and we all need to react together, then cameras on has a different value. So I can't control that. It's a good example, but I can influence you. I can influence you by giving a good reason, okay, beforehand. I'm going to open up now.
We have another hand raised, Rhonda, yes, by Bhanu.
Bhanu, yeah, in Chennai. Hi, Bhanu.
Yeah. Hi, Rhonda. Thank you, Shalaka. Rhonda, my question, what's running in my mind is about, you asked a question, do you see it coming? So supposing I'm part of a project where I see something coming and I would truly like to avoid it. I say that I see it coming to the relevant team members, and I tell them I would, as a team, like us to avoid it. I probably see things not happening, and then I repeat that we should avoid it. And then after the instance is over, there are things which shouldn't have happened. And it's so tempting to say, I told you so. You know, so any recommendation, I mean, I do checklists, I do reiterations. Any recommendations on anything else that could be done so that the we acknowledge that there is a gap between the planning and the execution? Are there any other ways that are time tested and that you would like to recommend?
Quite frankly, I haven't totally, because you've said you could see it coming, but you didn't tell me what it was. It depends on what it is coming as to what I would do. Is it a shark or a ship?
Yeah.
Or a wave?
It's a shark. It's a possible shark in a project that you're handling.
Yeah. Okay. Is this about facilitation or project management, Banu?
Facilitating. Yeah, it's about kind of project management. Yeah, it's more of a managing a project.
Yeah. Okay. Can we park that? I'm sorry, but what we're talking about now is facilitating rather than a whole project management. But you may find when you read the article that I've sent, that article, it might help you more.
Okay. Thank you.
And if you link with me on LinkedIn and then ask it again, I can answer it properly if we're not connected. Yeah, I can pick it up later on. But always happy to take a question on LinkedIn afterwards.
Sure.
I am going to open it up for any other comments on this control and influence area. Okay, I'm scanning up and down, looking at everybody's faces. Okay. I will now move to, how are we going for time? Okay, yes, we have. I'm going to open up now for you to share a couple of takeaways. I'm so sorry we lost 10 minutes at the beginning, okay? So I'm moving it to this. I had to cut a little bit out as a result. I'm going to share my screen. There's the two, Shalaka?
I was just wondering, Rhonda, if do you want to check with people if they are willing to, extend by about 5-10 minutes, and would you like to take them through whatever you have planned?
Yep. Okay. The trouble is I can't extend for that much more. I've got 15 minutes allocated for Q&A at the end.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. The Mentimeter. You've got this handout here, just a little bit of shameless self-promotion. Yep, shameless self-promotion at the moment. My next online facilitation training is coming up in September, and I am shamelessly going to share the flyer for that right now and get Shalaka to put that in the chat. And two things that you're taking away from today's session that will help you in future facilitations. And if you put it in the Mentimeter, then we'll open up for discussions and put your questions in the chat. And we will take some questions. So we're going to open up the Mentimeter for a couple of things that you're taking away that will help in future facilitations.
Yeah, I hope everybody's seen the link that I've shared in the chat.
It's showing the previous one itself, not the new one.
Yeah, the link.
Okay. It's the previous link. Shalaka, she's...
Yeah, I have started presenting the second question, so maybe you could try again.
The new one?
You just need to refresh. You just need to refresh the URL.
Okay.
What was the code? I think it's easy to get in with the code.
It's 3402 3181.
3402
3181.
Can you type it in?
Yeah. 3402 3181.
Oh, Tim, I didn't see you there. I can see Tim in Singapore. Hello.
Can you all see my screen?
Yeah, we can. Thank you, Shalaka. Okay, respond and not react. I cannot control, but I can ask and influence. Aware of my own emotions. Facilitation is managing self, doing the prep well, creating a safe environment. You're not a therapist. Yes, that's one of my favorite things that I always tell people. I'm not there to change people. I'm there to work with them during the time we have allocated. Prepare before the session, which might include structure, culture, behave. Yeah. While this is coming through, when you look at the handout that I gave you, you can see that there's a lot of questions that relate to the organizational culture in some way or another. For example, asking questions about the demographic of the group, depending on what you're trying to do, age, gender, educational level, where they come from, those sorts of issues around demographics and the background of the company can help define the culture or help you understand the culture quite well. For example, there are some fun activities and icebreakers I might do with a group of operational to middle management staff, but I'd probably never do with a senior executive board who think they're too important to do those things. Pardon me, but they usually do think they are too important to do them. That said, I often put the exact same activity halfway through the day and they enjoy it. So, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we have about 30 people who have responded, 31 now.
Okay.
So we can keep it on for another 30 seconds maybe.
Yeah, I'll give it a few more seconds. And in the meantime, you can start writing your questions in the chat and we can open up to some questions. And I hope I have covered what we said we were going to do. We haven't really looked in enough depth into the complexities of facilitation. I'm sure you're aware of those. But I've been doing this for, I'm not going to say, but it's over 30 years. Well over 30. It's like, I'm sorry, but it's 40 years I've been facilitating.
Wow.
Yeah, 40 years I've been doing process facilitation. So the complexities are huge and I could talk about it for ages. And that's what my framework is about. And the more you understand the complexities of what's involved, I'll just quickly get the framework up again here. Just looking at this, anybody who's done some, Jory has, Gerard has, a few people have been in workshops with me where we go into this. I do a 4-day course where we go into this in more depth, but then I do other half-day master groups around just one little element of it, like structure, or one element of trust and safety, and that's more. We could spend a week on the complexities of developing trust and safety and giving enough challenge and curiosity for our people in our facilitation. So I'm going to stop sharing and start opening up to questions and comments. Put your hand up. You can put it in the chat. Shalaka will watch that and I'll see if there's a hand up of questions.
So can I kick off the questions with a question that I had in mind, Rhonda?
Yes.
In the structure that you have shown in the structure, behavior, process, and culture, I was wondering, when we say behaviors, whose behaviors are we implying here?
And it's interesting that you mentioned structure and then behaviors. This model of mine is actually a systems model. And every little bit is connected. So if you don't have clear productive outcomes, which is the arrow going out the end, if that's not clear, then you can get some behavior from people that you need to manage. And that poor behavior can create problems with trust and safety in the group, which means that you might, in the moment, have to change your process and method to deal with the behavior to still come up with the outcomes. So, yeah, everything is interrelated. So if you go back, if we all go back to the case study that you came up with, that you thought about, what was it that you didn't do in your scoping and diagnosis with the client that made that event such a surprise or such a shock to you? That's my question. Usually for me, it's something I missed before the actual event. Some piece of information that I hadn't got. The case study I gave, the piece of information I didn't have, was the size of the group, really. It had changed. I mean, I should have asked again, and I tried, but nobody was there on Thursday and Friday. And yeah, I should have said, what if 80 people turn up instead of 60? So yeah, I'm looking now. Does that answer, Shalaka, the fact that it's a systems?
Yes, it does. It does. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you, Rhonda.
And just very quickly, structure relate. I'm a bit of a structuralist. I believe if you change the structure, you change the process. So the structure is the hierarchical structure of the people in the room, their positions and how they relate to each other. I'm also talking about the physical structure of the way you organize the room. So anything that has a structure to it, if you change that structure or you're aware of that structure, it will have a huge impact on what happens during the event. The physical structure and the hierarchy and structure of people in the room will impact their behavior. We all know what happens when people say, I'm not going to speak up while the boss is in the room.
Yeah. Could it also include the structure of the groups we form, especially in a physical space where, you know, we get people to group in a particular way and, you know, work together on a particular task?
Well, yeah, I think you could all think about the fact that you self-selected the structure. I mean, I gave some structure for your emotional reactions, but you self-selected that. What would have happened if we hadn't done that? It would have made a big difference. And why did you and I, Shalaka, talk about the, you know, in the second one, people just going to wherever they wanted to go, you know, so it's even those choices about how you organize your subgroups and your breakout groups, they relate to how you're structuring the group. Yeah. Okay, so let's go to some questions here.
Yeah. There's one question in the chat about, yeah, okay. So I'm going to take the first question about project management. Yoshiki from Japan has asked that you've addressed the difference between project management and facilitation. What is the fundamental difference? I know it's not a main topic today, but I'm just curious.
Okay. Project management is you're managing a project, whereas within some of those project management meetings, you may be facilitating, but you're not facilitating the whole project, you're managing the whole project. So many project managers need and require and want facilitation skills so that they can facilitate the meetings that they have while they're managing the whole project. And I'm going to quickly throw, for clarification in case I'm wrong, to my mate Gerard in Melbourne, who does a lot of massive project management. Do you want to take yourself off mute, Gerard?
Yeah, sorry, I just had to find it. Yes, I just agree with what Rhonda said. I think they're both processes. Project management has got a massive body of knowledge. You've got the PMI, PMBOK, and you've also got the Excelos in the UK, the Prince too. So massive body of knowledge, massive community, and you're moving through gates, scope, definition, multiple aspects to get something at the other end. Facilitation of a workshop, you've got a different set of considerations. You've got the group dynamics, but you do start with Rhonda's model. You're trying to get some outcomes. It's a complex problem to be solved. So it is about the process and being on top of your process. But you've got to know, you've got to have those upfront meetings with your client and your sponsor and the key stakeholders and understand the people. So to me, I guess that's why I'm attracted to facilitation. It's a bit more complex. Projects are complex, don't get me wrong, but I think facilitation has got all that human element. I don't know whether that was what you're after, Rhonda, but.
Oh, thanks. I just thought I'd throw to an expert in project management because I'm not. So.
Oh, I couldn't claim to be that, but I ended up in.
I know, well, you know more than me. I happen to know that. Look, some people are leaving. Before, if you're not already connected with me on LinkedIn, please do so. You can find me as Rhonda Sparks Tranks. But I'm here for...
Thank you very much anyway. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Yoshi. Nice to see you. I'll answer some more questions because we're on for another 15 minutes, but please connect with me on LinkedIn and tell me where you knew me from. The next one, what else have we got here?
What do you do when people are distracted?
Okay. Jyoti, Jo, still here? She's left, I think.
No, I'm there. My name
She's
is
still
Jyotsna.
here?
Yeah,
Jyotsna?
yeah.
Okay. Jyotsna. I can never pronounce it. I have 2 coaching clients with that name, Jyotsna. They just call themselves Joe. So Jyotsna. What can I do? I can't do anything about people being I know one thing I wouldn't do is I wouldn't say, hey, you, pay attention. For me, I want to not make assumptions about why they're distracted. Anything could be going on in their life. Okay? If it's a break time, I'd say, you okay? If they're distracted on their phones, then I'd come back to our ground rules. But I can't say no phones when I'm working with a group of clinicians, emergency doctors or whatever. You know, people now have that phone there. When you say distracted, by what? How does it manifest itself?
Yeah, like you said, somebody is on phone, attending calls. You know, they are in the breakout rooms, but not participating, still busy on their phones. So how do you manage that?
Okay.
Definitely, we can't go and say that, you know, hey, pay attention. But how do you try to bring that attention back?
Okay, my question would be, what are they doing in the room if they're that distracted?
If they have a point to discuss, brainstorm.
Okay. It takes me back to Marvin Weisbord and Sandra Janoff, who wrote one of the best books on facilitation ever, called Don't Just Do Something, Stand There. So we say, don't just stand there, do something. They say, don't just do something, stand there. One of the best books ever. One of the things they say is pay a lot of attention to who needs to be in the room. Very often people get invited to a facilitation event and they don't need to be there, or they're not interested in being there. And this comes back to a comment about whether there's conscripts or volunteers in a meeting. I almost refuse to facilitate a meeting filled with people conscripted to be there. There's just not much point. So if they're not interested, what are they doing in the room? So it's how we invite them to the room. You know, how do we speak with our client to say who needs to be there? Who's got a vested interest in being here? If they're just being sent to a brainstorming session and they don't care about the outcome, they won't care about how they're participating. So the question is, who needs to be in the room? Define who needs to be in the room. Don't have people there just to tick a box. And then think about how you invite them, that they start to realise the implications for them. So if they haven't got skin in the game, what are they doing in the room? So if they've got skin in the game and they want to be in the room, but they're distracted from something else, that's another issue. And I would, if they're looking distracted by something else, I'd be tolerant and I wouldn't push them. They'll come back when they need to be. I get distracted. You know, if something's really powerful for me in a meeting, I need to mentally drop out, look out the window and make sense of it. I never insist on everybody looking to me all of the time. Look at Tim now, he's turned away from the camera, maybe making meaning, whatever it is. Whatever it is, people, I hope that my facilitations, I can't control people's need to be distracted, okay? I can only influence them and hope the meeting's powerful enough for them to stay engaged. And if somebody's looking out the window or doing something else, I'm very tolerant. They'll come back if they're interested. If they're interested enough, they'll come back in their own time when they've made meaning or handled the issue of their children or whatever. Yeah, so hope that answers your question to some degree. Yeah. Any more questions?
Yes, there is a question from Jory. Would you like me to read it out?
Yeah. My question is that I have a client, the executive team experienced facilitation workshops several times, and then they highly buy in and really like to involve the middle managers, directors to get in. However, they would not like to present this invitation as a top-down invitation. Now, usually we have the top support, then it's very easy to cascade out, right? To roll out and never bring a problem. But in this case, I just feel like they're being stocked. I don't know if the stock is the word, or want to be very participatory, yet it's leaving the choice to the middle managers to decide.
And what are you concerned about, Jory? What's your concern?
My concern is, how do I help?
You want to control that more?
Control the role. My concern is, how do I help the executive team, I suppose, to first of all, take care of their intention, because the intention is for the betterment of the whole organization. and still respect their concern.
What do you think you should do? This is turning into a mini coaching between me and Jory. And
Yeah.
Oh.
I thought about that, finding an issue that both the whole structure, the whole organization,
okay,
is interested and has a concern, and then so they can all come in and do the discussion as a participatory way. Okay.
It seems to me it's about how you influence them to influence other people. It's how you get them, the executive team, to influence the others to come in. So it's you're influencing the executive team as to how they're going to influence the others, because they don't want to control them, do they? They want to influence them.
Right. But they use the word, they don't want to influence them either. So I feel like, okay, so.
Well, I don't know if I know the answer, because we all influence people one way or the other. Yeah. I don't think I've got an answer for you, Jory.
I make the suggestion, but apparently they're still considering. And my suggestion is, like I said, maybe finding a hot topic that the executive team and the middle manager are all interested, and then let's invite them. It's the worry about if the executive team are in the same workshop, then the middle managers will not participate.
Okay, that's the.
But their intention is so much to break the hierarchy in the organization.
And there we go into structure. And the issue of trust and safety in my model, the structure is impacting the sense of trust and safety. So if we look at the top part of the model with challenge and curiosity, it's a matter of helping them create enough challenge and curiosity from the people that they will want to attend and feel it's a safe space. So it's a combination of attracting the middle managers with a sense of curiosity and challenge so they want to attend, and then you managing the structure and process so that they feel it's a safe enough space for them to talk up. Once again, it's that model of mine that you were in the workshop where I very first tried it out.
Yes.
It's like 15 years of work. So, yeah, and I'd like to thank you for being in that group.
I enjoy that a lot, and then practice it.
Yeah. The complete model, Jyotsna, is taught on my course. The super early bird closes next week, so it's super duper reduced price. But I have put the price up a lot for the online version for two reasons. One, it's now 20 contact hours instead of 2 days. And because it's virtual, I need somebody to work with me constantly. And there's a lot of work in between. So it's actually, you get 3 days for for what was 2, and I have to pay somebody to work with me. What else have we got?
I did the 2-day course, which wasn't virtual, with Rhonda about six years ago, and it was the best thing I ever did. So if you can, invest in yourself, because it pays off.
Gerard, I didn't even pay you for that comment.
No, but I'm still getting value out of that training that I did in 2015, I think it was. Yeah, fantastic. And I also have signed up for career counselling as well, because Rhonda's pretty good. So I'm trying. That's an understatement. Yeah.
Okay. Any other Gerard? You're making me blush. So, look at the
one more question, Rhonda.
Yeah.
Model. My understanding is it's for planning, but as well as I can use this model as a reality check, current standing point check.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I am going to run some sort of masterclass on the trust and safety issue, because in the model that underpins everything. If the group does not feel safe, if the group does not feel safe in your hands as a facilitator, then you won't achieve the outcomes that you get. And there's so many reasons. The very thing that you mentioned, Jory, there's so many reasons why people don't feel safe. And a lot of it has to do with that structure and culture. I've got a client at the moment, oh boy, people are constantly saying they don't feel safe in meetings or to speak up. And the employee engagement survey was worse this year than last year, and it was bad last year. Like, it's really bad. So I've just been contracted to work with 10 divisions that had the worst results, online, virtual, running workshops with them. I facilitate the workshops. We dig into the employee engagement survey. They go and do some more work in subgroups, present on mural, and then we come back. So I've designed this synchronous, asynchronous hybrid event. But if you look at my model, the issues of trust and safety are highly related to the structure of the organisation, the way it was set up, and the culture within the place. And that it manifests itself in appalling behaviour. And the appalling behaviour is showing up in the staff engagement survey. My issue is, as a facilitator, it's going to be really hard for me to do this. The only lucky break I've got is I've already done a lot of work within that organisation, so I know the individuals and the culture. But yeah, trust and safety underpins everything. But the problems are because of the way it's structured, if that makes sense. And just to completely move away from what we're talking about now, so much facilitation goes up and down the hierarchy of organisations, down in the teams, in the silos. And Gerard, I might have been speaking to you about this the other day. It's the spaces in between. If you're into music, the problems are how people interconnect across their silos, and people don't pay enough attention to that space between the silos. It's not, in fact, space like an organisational chart. It's a series of Venn diagrams. So I try to get organisations to do a lot more cross-divisional facilitation instead of just within their silo. So that comes to the questions that I'm asking. If it was successful, who else needs to be in this meeting, or who else do you need to go out to before and after the meeting? Because rarely is a facilitation a great success just because of what happens with the group that you're working with. It's all the stuff that they relate to afterwards. You know, they might decide to do something. The facilitation ends up, well, we're going to interact with this, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. That's out of your control. But how well or badly they handle it will affect the success of the facilitation. So then we come into the bit about implementing the decisions or the outcomes, which is not part of what we're talking about today. So I think that's it. TQVM, says Amy. Rhonda, what's that mean? Where did Amy go?
Thank you
I'm
very
not
much.
into these.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much, TQ, for joining, Amy. Oh, God, I've learned something new today. I'm getting old. I'm not up to date. Look, it was lovely to see some familiar faces. You know, Eric, great to see you. Connie, Jory, Jimmy, and some people I've met for the first time today as well, like Sam, Amar, Hema, and Jyotsna, and Rock. Oh, I've met you before, Rocky. Yeah. So, and I know Tim. So those of us who left, Rupa, Mehek, and Eric, I don't think I've met you before, but very nice to meet you now. Please find me on LinkedIn. And Banu, yeah, nice to meet you. So I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Shalaka, who put up with so much with me with last minute changes and the drama at the very end, and her graciousness and brilliant organizing abilities. Yeah, we met at what conference, Shalaka?
The Osaka conference, I think. No, the KL, the Malaysia conference.
The Malaysia conference. Malaysia conference. Yeah. I didn't get to Osaka on account of the fact that there was a little storm that stopped us from meeting. So everybody, lovely to meet you. I hope to see you on LinkedIn or somewhere else in the world. And 3Q, Rhonda says, Jory. Okay, my pal. Okay, lovely to reconnect here. Thank you very much. And once again, Shalaka, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Rhonda. And thank you everybody for joining us on this journey. This will happen every month. So do join us for the next webinar, which will happen on June 19th. So if you want, you can save the date. You'll anyway come to know about it soon enough. But thank you so much, Rhonda. It was really insightful. And I think, you know, the simplest of processes and structures give the best insights. That is something that I have, you know, experienced over a period of time. My journey is still very in its infancy in facilitation as compared to you, and a long way to go yet. But every experience is so meaningful and so insightful. And even learning from what other people's takeaways are, I think that itself is a wonderful, you know, kind of treasure that we should, you know, all appreciate. So thank you everybody. Thank you, Rhonda, once again.
Thanks a lot. And Shalaka, you and I will stay on just for a minute to capture the chat. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Rhonda. Thanks, Shalaka.
Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Thank
Rhonda.
you.
Thanks, Shalaka.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Rhonda and Shalaka.
Thank you.
No photo?
Oh, we forgot the photo. Oh, no.
Yeah, oh God.
Oh, sorry. We forgot the photo. Oh, too late.
Oh, I did take photos.
Oh, you
I
did?
did take photos. Yes.
Okay, good.
That's great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jory.
Thank you
Great.
both. Thank you.
Thank you, Rocky.
Bye.
Thanks, Eric.
Bye, Eric.
Erica, bye-bye.
Lovely to see you, Jory. Bye, Eric. Lovely to see your face.
I think he's kind of frozen.
Stuck. Okay. Thank you once again. I felt a little bit, I was thrown, of course, by being 10 minutes late. It was so funny.